Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mega 31. We've got two races left this weekend in Martinsville, Xfinity and Cup, and then we have the finale at Phoenix next week. Seems like this season has flown by fast. So just quick advertising for FSi DFS. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, the values are doing it. You know when our reviews coming out. McKinley has been absolutely crushing it, and the hockey videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. Might after NASCAR season had some NBA ones coming out. I know some of you requested those. I know baseball is wrapped up. We had a successful season thanks for everyone who watched those. We'll have PGA here and there through the swing season. So check out, if you subscribe to our channel, you'll know if you have the notifications when those videos are coming up, and ramping up to start the 24 season. And NFL, we've been covering those Thursday night showdowns, Monday night football, and I usually have a full breakdown, so we'll have one for week 8. So check those all out. If you're interested in NBA, then if you go to our X, formerly Twitter, and look at our posts a couple days ago, I think for the first day of season, it was like Tuesday it was. There's a promo code up there for a free week of NBA coverage for FSI, or half price for a month. So check that out. I think that runs to the end of the month. So lots of cool things going on. So back to NASCAR here. We have 8 drivers competing for 4 spots left. Actually, we have 7 drivers competing for 3 spots left because Sam Mayer won, so he's locked in. So if you look at the color coding there, those are the drivers left in the chase for the championship, and the final 4 will be next week. So John Hunter Nemechek has enough points; he should be locked in, unless he finishes dead last and like everybody else finishes like 1 through 9, or 1 through 7. But I highly doubt that's going to happen. So I think mathematically he's fine. He still might go for stage points to ensure it early on stage 1, but stage 2, I think he can definitely go for the win. Allgaier. So what that means is that if one of these guys win, there's going to be 2 spots open. John Hunter Nemechek's probably going to take one of them, so there's still going to be 1 for points. So Allgaier, Custer, and Hill, does that mean that they are potentially going to go chase for stage points and over trying to win the race, which might put them in a disadvantage? It all depends on like how the race is going. So I think they'll have to make some decisions come stage 2. Do they need to go for the win to get in, or do they need to go for the stage points to try to be able to lock themselves if one of the other 3 is struggling? And it doesn't look like one of the guys in the red is going to win it, because one of the guys in the red has to win it. They can't mathematically stage point their way in, I don't believe, or it'd be like highly improbable. So that's where we're at. So start at the top here. Stanley Smith, I think he's a prime play here. He won Phoenix, I believe. Let's check here. Yep, he won Phoenix. Was second in Martinsville in the spring. Had a little bit of trouble in Richmond. 5th in New Hampshire. So even though it's 9th overall, I think the Richmond is just kind of tanked. 4th and 10 lap average. He should be out there. It's hard to pass here. Should be able to get out and lead early and hopefully be one of the dominators of the race. Allgaier could also do that, but again, I kind of fear he might be going for more for stage points than for the win, which Sammy Smith needs to win. So that could I can't write off Allgaier, but he's just had some bad luck recently. If you look at his average running position and his finish at Martinsville and Phoenix, the early race, he finished 7th, which isn't that bad. And Martinsville here, he finished almost last. So definitely did well at Richmond and New Hampshire, like 3rd overall if you look at everything considered. So I think he's in play here, but more of GPP than I could play him in cash. Custer, I like all the numbers that I saw on him. Like his practice was equivalent to Allgaier in long run speed and practice speed. Finished 3rd here in the spring, but he was top 10 running position and top 10 finishes, I believe, in all the 4 comparable races. Track average is decent, so comes back 7th overall. but I think he's definitely has some upside. So it could be a consideration of a second dominator. Just a little bit risky too, because he could be going for stage points over the win. Riley Hurst is in really good form here, and maybe take a shot on a GPP, but he's qualified way better than he practiced. Finished 30th in the spring. His average running position were decent in most races here, except for New Hampshire. Comes back fourth overall composite, but definitely a GPP play here. Not even like probably going to be my primary GPP lineup, but someone that could be a dark horse. John Hunter Nemechek, this is a real polarizing one. Again, he should be locked in. Might need to just go for stage point to completely seal it in stage one. Stage two could be, and three could be going for the win. Practice second, first in 10 lap, finish first here in the spring. Everything points to him, but I've seen him melt down in the playoffs under pressure, especially when he was like just dominating that one season, his last season in trucks, where we thought that he was going to win, and he just got into some issues. So I don't know. Everything says play him. I can't put him as a prime play, but consider him in cash. I'm probably going to split my cash and have one John Hunter Nemechek lineup and one not, because there's a balance build that I absolutely really like. So that's where I am for him. Brandon Jones, GPP, like practice was horrible. Did well here in the spring. He's done okay overcall, and there's not necessarily his type of track that I like to play him in, but he's there if you want to take a shot. Chandler Smith, I think this is definitely another cash play. He won Richmond. He's looked good at all the races, comes in second overall ranking in composite. I know practice wasn't as good as some of the other guys up top here. 11th in long run speed, but I think he can get enough done. Plus, with the desperation there, stage points aren't going to help. He needs to win, so I think they'll try to set him up for success to win there. Sheldon Creed's always a GPP play, like fifth in practice. It has to go for the win. Could he pull off some kind of Ross Chastain like move, even though they banned it as legal like last year, in desperation to try to get into the final spot? Potentially. I think he's super interesting narrative there, but I don't know if I can play him. Definitely not in cash or GPP. I think he's definitely in play. Austin Hill, I like him as GPP play. I think that he's had really good form this season, looked really good in the Phoenix race. Struggle on some of the other short tracks here, but I think overall he'll be fine. I think he's got some upside starting ninth, the potential dominator. But again, he's another one that potentially could be going for stage points over trying to get the win. Parker Retzlaff starting way too far forward. It's a fade. He had a great rookie season here. I look forward to him in the future, continuing to grow. Maybe gets out Jordan Anderson into one of these major teams, but Jordan Anderson hasn't been like rock bottom. They've been a different, definitely if this college basketball, a good mid-major, I'd say. Myatt Snyder, love his experience here in a good ride in the Gibbs Racings. Should be able to potentially get a top 10 today, although it tends like these drivers tend to yield to the playoff ones out of just like professional courtesy. Just doesn't have like the greatest like track average and stuff. It's when he was back in Xfinity before, and he was in decent rides back then too. So I think there's some upside here, but he's GPP. He's not doesn't have a floor for cash. Josh Berry, I think you can play for cash. I think there's some place differential here. He's run well, fourth in the spring race. Did really well in Richmond also. Overall, like he's starting kind of where his composite average is for finishes on these types of tracks. But I think there's definitely some upside there, and he wants to definitely finish the Xfinity season strong before he goes up to Cup next season. Ryan Sieg, I think he's a fade here. I like Ryan Sieg, but he's just not like he's like a 20th to a 15th place racer, so I think he's going to definitely lose place differentials. Wasn't even in the top 15 in long run speed. Finished 18th here, so I just see him going backwards. I just can't play him. Daniel Hemrick, I like him. I know he's not out of the playoffs, but he's done well in these types of tracks, so I'm gonna give him the prime. play here. I just like the savings. I like the potential place differential of like 5 points. I don't think he's going to dominate or lead laps here, but 10th, he should have some decent long run speed. Finished 7th in the spring. He's Other than Richmond, he's done really well. He comes back 6th, all things considered, in composite. So I think there's a lot of upside with Hemrick here. Parker Klingerman, GPP. I think he's had a decent season in this big machine racing one. And I think that he can have a decent day, probably finish in the top 15, but I don't think there's a ton of upside or floor either way. So just kind of in GPP, if he fits your last man in, I'm fine with that. If you want to, I'd like to drop like $600 more off of Klingman. I think Brett Moffitt is the much better play here. 3rd in practice, 8th in long run speed, finished in the top 10 here in the spring race. And even though he was like, his average running position in these races isn't great, but he does by the end of the race get in, put himself in the position to be in a good finishing position. So I think he can definitely finish in the top 20. So I really like his upside here for and his floor for cash. Sam Mayer is in great form here. He's playing with house money. He doesn't have to do anything to win the race, or I mean, he's already in, so he can go for the win for the race. Doesn't have to worry about like stage points or anything, because they really don't matter. They qualify in Phoenix. It's not like stage points even make any difference past this, other than like owner championship and stuff like that. So next week it's based on how they finish in the race, is how they finish in the championship. So it just needs to be the fastest car out of the 4. But I think he's got a lot of upside here, a lot of place differential. 4th in practice, 3rd in long run speed, 5th overall in composite. So I toyed with him and Hemrick, but I just like the savings on Hemrick. So that's why I went with him with the prime. But I definitely think, Sam Ayers makes sense for cash. So you just got to make a decision, whether it be Custer, Nemechek, or Mayer, maybe even throw in Barry for cash, like to get your second dominator there. I mean, there's enough value, I think, that you can maybe go with 3 10K individuals. But the other prime plays like 72, so that's, you'd have to find another one. And as we talk through the rest of these drivers, I think maybe some might stick out and might work for your build. So Josh Bilicki's a fade. Like, I don't, decent car, 23rd in practice, didn't have like long run speed, but like his like composite for like everything, even if I look at his like cup stuff, is like in the 30s. So I just think that he qualified way higher than he's gonna be able to finish. Lane Riggs, he's done really well, like has had a 14th average finish in both the limited truck and Xfinity experience that he's had this year. He's in a good ride in Coley. I think he's got a good future ahead of him. So somebody can consider in GPP, but the price point at 8,400 is a little steep. Jeremy Clements, usually a good cash floor play, but I think it's more of a GPP here. I just think he's great top 25. Don't know if he's going to finish in the top 20. So floor's not as high as I'd like it to be. Upside's a little bit capped. So especially finishing 32nd in the spring race and some of a little bit of struggles on tracks like this. JJ Yaley was kind of a surprise here, 21st in practice. His 21st overall, like everything points to him like finishing 21st, which is excellent at like 6K for a price point. So definitely a consideration for cash. Even if he drops a little bit, I don't think it hurts you that much. Anthony Alfredo, GPP, like just don't trust the equipment here. 25th overall composite, so it looks like he might lose a couple spots. I'd rather play Yaley at like $400 less and better, a little bit better equipment there. Kaz Grala, I think he can be a cash play here, 6,900, like the price tag. 12th in practice, 14th in long run, finished 15th here. Top 10 running position in Richmond, top 20 running position in all the other races, 18th overall. That's about at least 5 place differential points, so that's pretty nice. Josh Williams, happy 5th wedding anniversary, buddy. I think that he'll be highly owned in a cash play at 5,800, even though his practice was 38th. he's got a 22nd overall finish, so I think he can finish in the top 25 and has some floor there, definitely. The rest of these next four drivers, Mosaic, Kruth, Poole, Sieg, I think they're all like in the 6K range. They're all going to be low owned. Nobody really pops out here other than Brandon Poole had a decent practice. Nobody had great long run speed. They all have at numbers between like the high 30s and low 20s in finishing. So they really don't love anybody here. Jeffrey Earnhardt 5,500. If I had to compare it to the four on top of him, I'd take him. The only thing is he was like almost dead last in practice, but when it's come to the races other than Phoenix, he's done okay. uh Martinsville, good running position. I don't think he ran in New Hampshire, but Richmond was the top 20 in average running position, 26 overall finish. So I think that keeps him in the top 30, and I think that's decent. Chen Fincham, again, the tech doesn't, he's the cheapest driver out there. So I think you can play him in a GPP because I don't think he kills you. Worst, he can lose 8 place differential points, but he's already starting with, I think, like 2 points. So I think the worst he can get you is a -6. But if you're trying to play those drivers, I think that he can finish somewhere between 35th and 30 and at least be positive points. And if he moves up at all, then that's just a bonus right there. But he's the cheapest driver, so point per dollar, I think he's okay play for a GPP. Blaine Perkins, first in practice, second in long run speed. I don't get it though. I think I put him as a cash play. I know a lot of people are going to say lock him in, but I just don't know if I trust that practice data when everything else is screaming this is like a 30th plate driver. He qualified 31st. His numbers maybe 25.8, so maybe he's got like 6 or 7 place differential points at a 5K. I mean, that's great. I don't know if he's like the absolute like lock of the slate. I mean, again, he's it's much better situation than Chad Fincham, but you know, we paid $400 more for that. So definitely someone to consider in all your builds as a cheap fill in. Blaine Perkins. Ryan Ellis, Alpha Prime, GPP, like 27th. I think there's a little bit of upside there. Just like you're saving $900 if you drop down, you know, to like Perkins or some of these other drivers. Joe Graff Jr. is the fade. Like he'll probably wreck out first. TJ McLaughlin will probably, I mean, he's an RSS, which is better, but he's not a good driver. He and Joe Graff Jr. will probably run into each other and finish 38th and 37th. Chris Hacker is an Emlyn Grace car. They're pretty bad. Or Gata is not a bad driver, but again, like the equipment's horrible. Devin Jones hasn't been, he's raced like twice, once in trucks, one is going to finish both in like 2017, 20th. So maybe some upside. Don't love the equipment, so I'm just gonna put him as a fade. 37th in practice, didn't look great out there. And then Jeb Burton, I'm gonna lock in his chalk in the prime play. He had a radiator issue, maybe couldn't qualify. This is his home track. From the area, loves this, does well here. 13th place driver, should absolutely smash. Potentially like, you know, 20 place differential to 25 place differential points there. I just think you absolutely have to have him in your lineup, cash or GPP. But again, I understand with the 7,200, you might not be able to get to him if you're trying to play the 3 upside drivers. If you think it's hard to pass, let's just go for the championship ones. And, you know, I might build a lineup in a GPP of Smith, and Creed just for like the guys I have to win, to be, you know, see if that works out for me. The desperation lineup there. But then if you try to put like Burton in there, you're going to end up playing like Orgata and Fincham, and I don't know if that's the best combination to finish up your lineup. So that's what I got for you. If always, put his questions in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRuler31 on X / formerly Twitter. More information at FSi DFS, like I said, you can go to the description of the video. It's all there. And if these videos help you and helped you all season, continue to watch, but like, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends. So hope you have an amazing weekend. Stay tuned for the Cup video coming up and NFL coverage. And good luck in your contest. And I'll see you next